So after receiving a excessively large amount of questions across a range of platforms, I am thrilled to announce to you guys that the next series that Catch Up Book Club are going to be tackling is the First Law World by Jo Abercrombie. Now, some of you may be surprised because what I didn't know up until recently is that a lot of people think that the First Law World is actually just a trilogy when it isn't. It's 10 books long. So over the course of 2023 and about half of 2024, because you know we only go long haul with these things, we are going to be reading the flagship series for the grimdark subgenre. I have to say that I'm not going to be able to give you a great deal of information about what these books are actually about in this video. I will tell you the limit of my knowledge, but I will put a link to Daniel Green's video in my description box, which is the one that I used to just get a general feel of the series so that I can make this announcement video for you guys. So the series is 10 books long in total, but it is broken down within those 10 books. We have a trilogy to start us off, which is the First Law trilogy. We then have a series of standalones with each book skewing slightly towards a different genre, I believe. There is then a collection of short stories, and then we finish it off with another trilogy that is called The Age of Madness. Now that is currently all that is published in the First Law World. It's a nice place to end it because the last trilogy is closed out, but I believe that the author does plan on releasing more books in this world in the future, and if so, I will revisit it, like we will with Game of Thrones if George R.R. Martin ever publishes The Winds of Winter, like we will if Robin Hobb ever decides to revisit The Realm of the Earthlings. We will follow up, so please don't worry about that. As far as the extent of my knowledge on the series, I know that it is grimdark. I know that it is extremely violent and extremely bloody, so if that is not something that you can handle, if you don't like graphic depictions of violence, I'm not sure that this is going to be the series for you. I do like me some grimdark, but I'm not sure that I've ever read grimdark to the extent that I believe Jo Abercrombie takes it, so it is going to be interesting. And unlike the previous rounds of Catch Up Book Club, none of our resident hosts are super familiar with this series, so I do think it's going to be an interesting dynamic in the live shows as we all kind of explore this for the first time. I think Cass has read the first book, but I think that that is about it for how much like the hosts have actually read of this series. I do want to let you guys know a little bit ahead of time that I believe that the first book, The Blade itself, has very little plot in it. I have been warned multiple times, so I thought it would just be like good practice to pass that along. But I've heard that this is very, very slow. It's lots of character development, it's a lot of politics, but it doesn't have a whole ton of plot. So I guess what I'm saying here is, and something that I plan on doing as well, if I or you or we don't enjoy book one, I think the best practice with this series is to continue on to book two and see how you feel about that, because as you go on it does become a little bit more plot heavy. So aside from that, all I know is that the series is heavily political. It is set in a world that used to be inhabited by humans and demons, and that the fantastical elements in this series are quite minimal. So I feel like it's actually going to be a lot like The Realm of the Earthlings, like in those earlier Fitz books where we're following Fitz growing up and it's very much centered on the politics of the court. There isn't a whole lot of magic in those early books, and even as it does start creeping in, it's a very small part of the story in comparison to what we eventually know the scope of the magic of the world to be. I also know that the main characters of the first trilogy are a barbarian, a torturer, and a fencing champion, I think. But that is the extent of my knowledge with this series. So if you guys decide to embark on this journey with us, we are all going to be exploring this series together. So in this video, I'm essentially just going to tell you like what social media we have, who our hosts are for this round, and also the schedule. And I do also have a little extra something that you guys might be excited about. So as for the socials, we are going to have a Discord again, like we did with Readalong. I was torn whether to bring it back again for this round, but I've decided that it is a nice space for you guys to be in if you want to discuss, and also if you don't have Twitter. So we are going to be bringing the Discord back, but I do kind of want to preface it by saying that the Discord is more for you guys than it is for myself and the rest of the hosts. I am truly not active in any Discord that I have or any Discord that I'm part of aside from my own Patreon one, which I'm in all the time. I just find that when you have more than one Discord, it becomes kind of like a lot to manage. So I like to provide that space for you guys to exist in where you can really get into discussion of the books if you want to, but don't expect that something to be constantly upkept by myself and the hosts, that we are constantly dipping in and out of. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I personally am on YouTube specifically because I prefer to deliver information and have conversations in a video format as opposed to like typing or constantly like checking my notifications and being in and out of Discord. So that is there if you want it, and I will post any information that you need to know in the announcement tabs of the Discord, but I'm not going to be constantly in there when it comes to discussion, but you guys like feel free to go ham down there. We do also have a Twitter, which is at Catch Up Book Club. Similarly to with the Discord, I am not going to be bombarding you with notifications on Twitter. I literally only use the Twitter to post the announcement video and then announce when each of the live shows are happening. If we're going to be a little bit later in the month than we originally planned, or a little bit earlier, and anything like that, you're not going to be getting constant notifications from that. It is just pretty much a vehicle for me to convey information to you guys. So whether you want to join the Discord and have like discussions, or whether you just want the announcements from Twitter, it's up to you. And we do have a hashtag as well for this round, which is going to be hashtag Firstlawalong. I'm really sad because it's not as fun as Readalong, but without knowing the nitty gritty of the series, it's the best I could do. For the hosts, we have a lot of familiar faces. 5 of the hosts are going to be returning from Readalong, and we have one new addition to the Catch Up Book Club family. So the first host is of course myself. The second one is going to be Cody from Cody's Book Corner, who actually picked the series that we're going to be reading this time around. Also returning, we have Zafina from the Psychonix, we have Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction, we have Cass from What Cass Read, and our brand new host, I'm collecting all of the high fantasy girlies, because our brand new host is going to be Aaron from Booked and Busy, who reads a ton of epic fantasy, so she really has like a vast background of knowledge to like compare this series to in discussion, and I'm really excited to be getting into it with Aaron on board. So all of the hosts are going to be linked in the description as usual, and the live shows are going to rotate around everybody's channels, so I do advise that you go ahead and subscribe to everybody so that you can get notified for when we're going live in case you miss any of our announcements. In terms of the live shows, if you guys are new to Catch Up Book Club, we typically do a 90 to 120 minute live show every 2 months. This is a bi-monthly book club for the most part. The general rule is that if the book is over 500 pages, then we will be taking 2 months to read it. That has been very interesting when it is related to the schedule for the First Law World, because all of these books are significantly smaller than all of the books that we've read in the realm of the Eldlings. Some of them are barely over 500 pages, but as this is still epic fantasy, as I'm still expecting it to be at least a little bit dense, I have decided that we will still be going bi-monthly, with I think one exception. I do also want to clarify that I have used the UK editions to get the page counts on these. I have noticed that the US editions actually have less pages than the UK ones. As I'm personally reading the UK editions, those are the ones that I've gone off. Out of the 10 books, there are 3 in the US editions that are under 500 pages, and there are 2 in the UK editions that are under 500. However, in the schedule, one of those would actually fall in December, and I do tend to extend the schedule a little bit around that time of year to account for the fact that everybody is super busy. So keep that in mind when we go through the schedule. If your copy has 499 pages and mine has 512, keep it to yourself. This is the schedule, okay? This is what we're working with. We will be kicking this off in January, and the book for January and February is going to be The Blade itself, with the live show being at the beginning of March on my channel. Now, just as a general rule, we do tend to have the live shows on the second Sunday of the month. This doesn't always apply, and I know that there are a few months throughout 2023 where it definitely won't apply, but just as a general rule of when to aim for, that is typically when we try to do the live show. The book for March and April is Before They Were Hanged, and the live show for that is going to be at the beginning of May on Ashley's channel. The book for May and June, I believe, is the largest one we're going to be reading, and that is The Last Argument of Kings, with the live show for this being at the beginning of July on Cass's channel. And then we are moving into the standalones, the first one of which we will be reading in July and August, which is Best Served Cold, and the live show for this is going to be at the beginning of September on Cody's channel. We then have The Heroes, which is our September and October book. I believe that the the plot of this one is that it is a single account, or like an account of one single battle, and the live show for this one is going to be at the beginning of November on Zafina's channel. And then the final standalone is Red Country, which is actually one of the ones under 500 pages, but it means that the live show would be at the beginning of December, which we generally try to avoid. I believe that this one has a bit of a Western take on it, and this one we will have the live show for at the beginning of January on Aaron's channel. For January, we have the other book under 500 pages, which is actually a collection of short stories. This one will just take place for the month of January, with the live show being at the beginning of February back on my channel. And then we move into the Age of Madness, which is the second trilogy. I believe that this one, while I know nothing about the plot, is actually following descendants of the first trilogy, kind of like Mistborn Era 2 versus Mistborn Era 1. The first book is A Little Hatred. We will be reading this one in February and March, with the live show being on Ashley's channel at the beginning of April. We will then be reading The Trouble with Peace through April and May, with the live show being at the beginning of June on Cassie's channel. And then, unless Joe Abercrombie publishes anything else in this world, we will be finishing this readathon with The Wisdom of Crowds in June and July 2024, with the live show being at the beginning of August on Cody's channel. So that is the plan, that is the schedule and all of the information you need. The live show dates are subject to change slightly. The live show channels as well may change, but that is generally what we are aiming for. So do either join the Discord or follow the Twitter, just so you can get that information about the live shows. And there isn't right now, so I can't link it, but there will eventually be a playlist on my channel, like there is for Readalong, that has all of the live shows for the book club in it, so that you guys can catch up. Like if you fall behind or if you can't catch them live, they are easily accessible from the playlist. Now, the last thing before I wrap up this video is that this time around we have a bookmark. If you've been on the Twitter recently, you will see that I've changed the branding. I always change the graphics, etc., to match the theme of the series we're reading. And as of 2022, I have also been making foiled bookmarks for my patrons, and so I decided to do one for Catch Up Book Club as well. As you can tell, I very much got inspiration from the covers of the books. But we have a parchment and like bloodstained design with Catch Up Book Club on one side and Firstlawalong on the other. Now, it is an awkward time of year for these to go on sale, because when you are watching this video, my candle store and my Etsy are going to be closed. So in January, I was actually already going to be selling the excess Patreon bookmarks I have, because obviously I buy in bulk, and these will be going on sale alongside them. I do not have a concrete date for you guys right now when these will be going on sale, but as with everything else I've mentioned in this video, if you follow the Twitter or join the Discord, I will be sure to let you guys know the date and the time of the drop on these. So that is everything I think that you guys need to know about this round of Catch Up Book Club. Can you believe that this book club has already existed for 4 years, and by the time we're done with this read along, we will have completed 6 years of Catch Up Book Club and have successfully completed 3 big epic fantasy series. Honestly, blows my mind a little bit. So down in the comments, let me know whether you are going to be joining us for our exploration of the First Law world. Let me know if you've read any of these books and like what you guys thought of them, without spoilers obviously, but maybe it will give some people who are on the fence about joining a little bit more information about the series than I can. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into the description box, you'll find links to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish candle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.